There comes a moment in your life when God shakes your spirit awake, when God whispers with urgency into your soul, telling you that not everyone who knocks on your door deserves to walk into your home. There are some people who come with smiles but carry storms. Some come with soft voices but bring poison. Some come with familiar faces but carry intentions that threaten the peace, the blessing, and the protection God has placed over your life. If you do not discern who enters your home, you will allow what God protected you from to walk right through your front door. Today, I am here to tell you with conviction and with the spiritual authority that God does not want everyone in your house. God does not want every energy, every spirit, every voice, every influence, or every relationship inside the sacred environment where you sleep, pray, build, grow, and prepare for the destiny God has placed over your life. When you hear this message, something deep within you will awaken, because your home is not just a building. Your home is your sanctuary. Your home is where your soul rests. Your home is the first battlefield where spiritual attacks start. What you allow into your home shapes what enters your mind, what touches your heart, and what influences your spirit. That is why God tells you today, protect your house, protect your peace, protect your destiny, and do not let these 5 people enter your home. The first type of person you must not allow into your house is the person who carries chaos within their spirit. These are people who live in disorder, speak in disorder, behave in disorder, and bring disorder wherever they go. The moment they enter your home, peace leaves. The moment they speak, harmony fades. The moment they sit down, the atmosphere changes. Chaos has a spirit, and people who live in chaos carry the spirit with them. It clings to them. It surrounds them. It follows them. These are the people whose lives are storms of confusion, storms of drama, storms of gossip, storms of emotional instability. And if you allow them into your home, their storms will start raining in your living room. No matter how much you pray, no matter how much you try to be kind, chaos will contaminate any environment it enters. When God wants to grow you, He brings peace. But when the wrong people enter your house, they interrupt the flow of God's peace over you. They keep you mentally distracted, emotionally drained, spiritually weakened, and physically exhausted. These people don't want balance. They thrive on disturbance. They don't want resolution. They thrive on confusion. They don't want healing. They thrive on emotional disruption. You cannot change them, and you cannot save them by allowing them into your private space. Your home is not a battlefield for someone else's emotional disorder. Your home is not a hospital for someone who refuses a healing. Your home is not a therapy center for someone who doesn't want transformation. If someone's presence brings chaos instead of calm, confusion instead of clarity, heaviness instead of harmony, God is telling you, do not let them enter your house. The second type of a person you must never allow into your home is the jealous person. Jealousy is a spiritual poison, a destructive force that enters silently but works violently. A jealous person will sit in your home, look around at what you have, smile on their face, but envy in their spirit. They will look at your blessings not with appreciation, but with silent resentment. They will see your progress and feel threatened. They will see your peace and feel offended. They will see the favor God has placed on you and secretly wish it would disappear. Jealous people carry a dark shadow with them. When they step into your home, their presence carries a heaviness that drains your energy. These are the people who compliment you but don't mean it. They celebrate you but don't feel it. They act supportive, but internally compete with you. When you let jealousy inside your home, you allow an invisible enemy to sit at your table. Jealous people don't need to attack you with their words. Their energy alone is enough to interfere with your peace. God does not bless a house that welcomes jealousy. God does not elevate an environment that entertains envy. God does not build in a space where someone else secretly wants your life. Jealous people will watch your blessings, not to learn from them, but to measure themselves against you. They will hear about your progress, not to celebrate it, but to mentally calculate how to outshine you, or worse, how to pull you back down. The presence of jealousy is a spiritual contamination. It blocks your joy, drains your gratitude, and interrupts your focus. God is telling you today, protect your home from jealous eyes, jealous hearts, and jealous spirits. Not everyone who supports you publicly supports you internally, and you must know the difference. The third type of person you must never allow into your house is the chronic complainer. These are the people who carry negativity like a second skin. They complain about life, complain about people, complain about opportunities, complain about blessings, complain about situations, complain about everything. Nothing satisfies them, nothing inspires them, nothing brings them joy. Their entire spirit is shaped by dissatisfaction. And when they walk into your home, their negativity spreads like smoke in a closed room. It suffocates your optimism, pollutes your motivation, and darkens your atmosphere. God created your home to be a place where gratitude grows, where joy is cultivated, where faith strengthens, and where hope breathes freely. But a complainer suffocates all of that. Their words carry weight, negative weight. Their conversations drain your energy. Their mindset infects your peace. Before you know it, you start complaining too. You start focusing on what's missing instead of what's present. You start to see life through the lens of scarcity instead of abundance. Complaining is contagious. It spreads silently but operates powerfully. When the wrong person enters your home, they can shift your mindset, not because you're weak, but because the environment of your home is sacred, and whatever enters, it begins to influence you. If a person constantly talks about problems, but never solutions, constantly highlights the dark, but never the light, constantly sees what is wrong, but never what is right, then God is telling you clearly, do not let them enter your house. They do not come with peace. They come with spiritual pollution. And your home was never designed to be a dumping ground for someone else's negativity. The fourth type of person you must not allow into your home is the one who carries a corrupting influence, people whose presence weakens your values, weakens your discipline, weakens your moral boundaries, weakens your spiritual clarity, and weakens your commitment to God. These are the people who bring temptation, distraction, and spiritual laziness. When they enter your home, they pull you away from your purpose. They bring suggestions that feel harmless but carry spiritual consequences. They bring conversations that feel casual but plant seeds of weakness. They bring habits that appear small but open doors to spiritual decline. When you allow such people into your home, your discipline suffers, your focus shifts, your spirit dulls, your direction changes. Sometimes it happens slowly. You don't even realize it at first. But the wrong influence is like a rust. It starts small but spreads widely. You must understand this. The enemy does not need to attack you directly. He can simply send someone who influences you away from God's alignment. One wrong influence can silence your spiritual sensitivity. One wrong person can dim your inner fire. One wrong conversation can plant doubt, confusion, or spiritual sleepiness inside your soul. And this always begins inside the home. Your home is where your habits are shaped, where your decisions are birthed, where your character grows. If the wrong influence enters your home, it enters your inner world. God is telling you with clarity, do not allow anyone inside your home who makes you comfortable with the things that distance you from God. Do not allow any influence that normalizes what God warns you against. Do not welcome anyone who encourages you to compromise your character, weaken your discipline, or abandon your values. Your home must remain a place where your relationship with God is strengthened, not weakened. The fifth type of person you must never allow into your house is the one who carries a spirit of division. These are the people who break unity, destroy peace, separate the relationships, create suspicion, stir conflict, and produce emotional cracks where harmony once lived. They come softly, but their impact is loud. They come politely, but their intention is destructive. They come with a friendly conversation, but they carry seeds of division in their words. Someone with a spirit of division does not need to shout to destroy relationships, they whisper. They don't need to attack directly, they insinuate. They don't need to confront, they suggest. These people ask small questions that create big misunderstandings. They make subtle comments that produce a silent resentment. They speak in ways that shift trust, weaken bonds, and create doubt. They thrive on emotional separation. They do not come to your home to love. It is enough for them to plant the seeds of distance between you and the people God placed in your life. They are the silent destroyers of families, friendships, marriages, partnerships, and the unity God has blessed. When someone with a divisive heart enters your home, they leave fragments behind, fragments that turn into cracks, cracks that turn into fractures, and fractures that turn into emotional breaks. God despises division because it disrupts the unity He designed for your life. God blesses unity. God strengthens unity. God multiplies through unity. But division destroys environments where God wants to elevate you. And God is clearly warning you. Protect your home from anyone who speaks to divide, influence, to separate, or behave to destroy the unity within your walls. Now listen carefully, because this truth will shake your spirit awake. Sometimes the most dangerous people are not the strangers outside your home, but the familiar ones inside your circle. Some people you've known for years should no longer cross your doorstep. Some people you loved, outgrown, no longer carry a place in your home. Some people who used to belong to your past have no place in your future. Growth requires separation. Elevation requires boundaries. Protection requires discernment. God elevates you by clearing your environment. And sometimes that clearing begins with your home. You cannot rise while entertaining people who pull you down. You cannot hear God clearly while allowing voices that confuse you. You cannot move into your destiny while letting past energy enter your present environment. Your home must be fortified with boundaries. Not every visitor is meant to be welcomed. Not every relative is meant to stay. Not every friend is meant to be allowed inside. Not every familiar face is meant to sit on your couch. God is calling you to protect your home because your home holds your spiritual atmosphere. If the atmosphere of your home is contaminated, the direction of your destiny will be affected. Some people bring heaviness, not because they intend to, but because their spirit is heavy. And when they enter your home, their burdens sit in your living room even after they leave. Some people bring darkness, not because they hate you, but because they have not confronted the darkness within themselves. Some people bring confusion not because they want to harm you, but because confusion is the environment they live in. But hear this truth. Just because someone means well does not mean they are spiritually healthy. And your home is not a place for spiritually unhealthy energy. God wants you to protect your peace with the same seriousness you protect your life. Because your peace is part of your life. If your peace collapses, your energy collapses. If your energy collapses, your clarity collapses. If your clarity collapses, your discipline collapses. And if your discipline collapses, your destiny collapses. Everything begins in the home. Let me tell you something deeply important. When God prepares to bless you, He first sanctifies your environment. He removes what isn't in alignment. He exposes what doesn't belong. He reveals hearts you didn't discern before. He shows you intentions that were previously hidden, not to hurt you, but to protect you. Not to separate you from people, but to separate you from spiritual contamination. God does not want your home to be a place where your blessing is drained. God wants your home to be a place where your blessing grows. A place where your spirit is strengthened. A place where your mind is renewed. A place where your heart is protected. A place where your soul rests. And that means some people cannot be allowed inside your home, not because you hate them, but because you love your destiny. Not because you judge them, but because you protect your peace. Not because you think you're better, but because you are becoming wiser. God is calling you to grow, and growth requires boundaries. Think about how many times your peace was disturbed because of someone you allowed inside your home. Think about how many times your atmosphere changed because of someone's presence. Think about the arguments that started after their visits, the heaviness that lingered, the confusion that remained. That was not accidental. That was spiritual. The wrong people bring the wrong atmosphere. The wrong atmosphere brings the wrong thoughts. The wrong thoughts bring the wrong decisions. And the wrong decisions produce the wrong destiny. This is why God urges you to be careful with who enters your home. Your home is the gate to your spirit. Whoever enters your home enters your atmosphere. Whoever enters your atmosphere influences your thoughts. Whoever influences your thoughts shapes your life. Do not take this lightly. The people who enter your home impact your destiny more than you realize. Some of you have been praying for peace, but still welcoming chaos. Praying for blessings, but still entertaining jealousy. Praying for protection, but still allowing negative influences. Praying for clarity, but still letting complainers drain your mind. Praying for unity, but still letting divisive people walk through your door. Your prayers are powerful, but your boundaries must match your prayers. You cannot pray for peace and host chaos. You cannot pray for growth and welcome spiritual pollution. You cannot pray for strength and entertain weakness. You cannot pray for clarity and allow confusion inside your home. God is telling you with love, with wisdom, and with spiritual urgency, set boundaries. Protect your home. Guard your spirit. Build a wall around your peace. Elevation requires separation. Destiny requires discernment. Blessing requires boundaries. Your home is a sacred environment. It is where God speaks to you. It is where God guides you. It is where God restores you. It is where God strengthens you. It is where God molds you. And you must protect that sacred space with all your spiritual strength. The presence of the wrong person can interfere with the voice of God in your life. The presence of the wrong energy can cloud your discernment. The presence of the wrong spirit can weaken your spiritual fire. This is why God is calling you to step into a higher level of protection. Not fear, discernment. Not judgment, wisdom. Not isolation, spiritual maturity. You are not closing your doors out of anger. You are closing your doors out of destiny. God did not create you to live in confusion. God did not create you to live in anxiety. God did not create you to live in heaviness. God created you to walk in clarity, peace, blessing, purpose, strength, and spiritual authority. And all of that begins with what you allow into your home. When you protect your home, you protect your future. When you protect your future, you protect your destiny. When you protect your destiny, you stay aligned with the path God has prepared for you. There are 5 types of people you cannot allow into your home: the chaotic, the jealous, the complainer, the corrupting influence, and the divisive. These 5 carry spiritual contamination that interferes with the atmosphere of your home and the direction of your destiny. When you let the wrong person enter your home, you invite their spirit into your environment. And when their spirit enters your environment, it begins to influence your mind. Protect your home, protect your peace, protect your heart, protect your destiny. You must rise with a spiritual boldness and declare that not everyone is allowed to cross your doorstep. If they bring chaos, they cannot enter. If they bring jealousy, they cannot enter. If they bring negativity, they cannot enter. If they bring temptation, they cannot enter. If they bring division, they cannot enter. Listen closely, because what I'm about to say will not leave your life the same. There are moments when God does not whisper. He speaks with a force that shakes the ground beneath your spirit. And right now, God is declaring something over your life with such clarity, such authority, such unmistakable power that every force that fought you, every burden that drained you, every delay that frustrated you will have no choice but to bow. God is saying, I am sending favor to locate you. You have been surviving on strength. You have been walking on faith. You have been holding on when everything in you felt like letting go. You have carried weights in silence. You have endured storms no one saw. You have fought the battles no one applauded. And while others misunderstood your struggle, God has been watching every tear, every prayer, every moment you resisted the urge to collapse. God has seen it all. Not one moment was wasted, not one sacrifice ignored, not one cry unheard. And because of this, God is sending a wave of a favor that has your name written on it. This is not ordinary favor. This is not casual kindness. This is the kind of a favor that overturns verdicts, the kind of a favor that breaks patterns, the kind of a favor that interrupts cycles, the kind of a favor that makes people who ignored you suddenly remember you, the kind of favor that opens doors you were never supposed to walk through according to human standards. The kind of favor that lifts you from obscurity to visibility because God has decided that your season of being overlooked is over. Some of you have been in a season where it felt like nothing was moving. You were praying, you were believing, you were working, yet the results were inconsistent. You saw glimpses of progress but not fulfillment. You felt hope rise only to watch it fall again. But hear me, this was not punishment, not abandonment, not rejection. It was preparation. God did not forget you. God was positioning you. The delay was never denial. It was divine alignment. And now God is saying, the season of waiting is shifting. I am releasing favor to locate you. Favor does not follow logic. Favor does not wait for perfect timing according to humans. Favor does not check your qualifications. Favor does not measure your background. Favor does not consider your past mistakes. When God sends favor, it moves with precision, purpose, and unstoppable force. When favor comes, it doesn't knock on the door gently. It enters with authority. It bypasses protocols. It jumps over barriers. It overturns systems. And this level of favor is coming for you. There are people right now who don't know your name, but God is whispering it into their spirit. There are opportunities being stirred, doors being prepared, conversations happening in rooms you have never walked into. God is orchestrating connections you didn't even ask for. God is arranging blessings you didn't even think to pray for. God is working behind the scenes with such a meticulous detail that when the favor reaches you, you will know without doubt, this was not coincidence, this was not luck, this was God. For too long, you have been trying to push things into place with your own strength. You kept striving, kept stretching, kept trying to make things work. You kept thinking, if I just try harder, maybe it will happen. But God is saying, this next blessing will not come from your effort. It will come from my favor. You moved by obedience. Now God is moving by reward. You see, when God decides to send the favor, everything accelerates. What once took years suddenly takes months. What once took months suddenly takes weeks. What once took weeks suddenly takes days. And what once looked impossible becomes reality. Because when God releases favor, natural timelines become meaningless. God doesn't need time. God uses time as a servant. And right now, time is about to serve you. You felt stuck, but you were actually being planted. You felt forgotten, but you were being hidden for a divine unveiling. You felt delayed, but you were being prepared for a moment only God could orchestrate, and that moment is approaching with unstoppable speed. There is a shift happening in the spiritual atmosphere. You may not see it with your eyes, but your spirit feels the tremble. Your heart feels the pull. Something is changing. Something is moving. Something is breaking open. God is sending favor to locate you. And nothing, no enemy, no doubt, no fear, no opposition can stop what God has already released. Some of you have been walking through wilderness, a season where nothing made sense. You had prayers without answers. You had dreams without progress. You had hopes without evidence. And you wondered, God, when will things change for me? When will the breakthrough I keep hearing about reach my life? But understand this, wilderness seasons are not signs of abandonment. They are signs of transformation. God never leads you into a wilderness to leave you there. God leads you into a wilderness to sharpen you, purify you, strengthen you, and prepare you for the favor that is being sent. And now, after everything you endured, after everything you survived, after everything you pressed through, God is saying, you are ready. Not perfect, not flawless, not without weakness, but ready. Ready for favor, ready for increase, ready for overflow, ready for divine elevation, ready for the kind of blessing that does not match your past, but matches your destiny. There are some moments in life when God doesn't just bless you, God shifts your entire environment. God changes the atmosphere around you. God rearranges circumstances. God reorders relationships. God removes what distracts you. God exposes what is draining you. God closes doors that you would have kept open out of comfort or fear. And though those moments feel painful, they are essential, because before favor, can locate you, God ensures that nothing around you can sabotage what He's sending. If certain people walked with you into this next season, they would damage the blessing. If certain habits remained with you, they would contaminate the favor. If certain environments stayed connected to you, they would restrict God's unfolding plan. So God removed what you did not have the strength to release, and though it hurt, it prepared the ground for the favor that is now on its way. Favor requires space. Favor needs room. Favor cannot enter a crowded heart or a cluttered life. That is why God allowed some things to fall apart, not because He wanted to hurt you, but because He wanted to clear the way. That setback, it created space. That disappointment, it created a space. That separation, it created a space. That closed door, it created a space. God has been making room, not for something small, not for something ordinary, but for something extraordinary. Some of you think you lost things, but God is saying, you didn't lose anything vital. You lost what blocked you from what I'm sending. You cried, yes. You felt pain, yes. But you also grew. You matured. You developed wisdom. You learned what does not belong. You learned who does not belong. You learned how to stand alone if necessary. You learned how to trust God more deeply. You learned how to hear His voice without the noise of distractions. And now, because of that growth, you are aligned for the favor that is coming. Favor is not just a blessing. Favor is divine endorsement. It is God publicly demonstrating that His hand is upon your life. There are people who doubted you, people who underestimated you, people who thought you would fade away, but God is about to make it clear. My hand is on this one. My blessing is on this one. My purpose is on this one. What is coming will silence doubts, silence critics, silence insecurities. God is sending favor that will speak louder than any negativity spoken over your life. There is a reason you felt spiritual resistance lately. A reason you felt pressure. A reason you felt heaviness. A reason you felt warfare intensify. Because favor always draws opposition. The enemy does not fight what is empty. He fights what is destined. But here is the truth. The presence of warfare is the proof of impending favor. When things get hardest, that is when God is closest. When pressure increases, that is when breakthrough accelerates. When resistance intensifies, that is when favor is about to collide with your life. Some of you felt like giving up recently. You felt tired, frustrated, overwhelmed. You thought, why am I facing so much at once? But what you didn't realize is that your spirit was sensing the shift before your eyes could see it. Your soul was reacting to the weight of the blessing that was approaching. The struggle was not a sign of abandonment, it was a sign of transition. God was pushing you out of an old season into a new dimension. Favor is not gentle, it is overwhelming. It does not enter quietly, it enters with force. It does not tiptoe, it floods. And this flood of God's favor is coming with intensity. It will reach your finances, your relationships, your health, your purpose, your mind, your opportunities, your influence, and even the desires you kept buried because you thought they would never happen. God is saying, I am sending favor to locate every area where you felt defeat. You need to understand something. When God sends favor, it does not look for where you used to be. It searches for where you are. You cannot go back to old environments, old relationships, old patterns, old limitations, old fears, old versions of yourself. Favor will not enter the place you outgrew. Favor will meet you where God has brought you now. This is why God separated you from certain things. This is why you felt isolated. This is why you had to walk alone for a season. This is why your circle became smaller. Because favor is coming directly to you, not to a group, not to a crowd, not to the whole environment, but to you specifically. God is sending targeted favor, personalized favor, tailored favor, the kind of favor that reaches only the person who endured the process. When God sends this kind of favor, things begin to shift quickly. Conversations change. Opportunities appear out of nowhere. Doors open without explanation. People begin to seek your presence. Solutions come effortlessly. The heavy becomes light. The blocked becomes open. The distant becomes reachable. The impossible becomes normal. This is what God is preparing to release over you. You are not entering a season of trial. You are entering a season of a divine movement. You are not stepping into confusion. You are stepping into clarity. You are not walking toward uncertainty. You are walking toward fulfillment. You are not trying to survive. You are stepping into God-ordained victory. And listen closely. God is not sending random favor. God is sending restorative favor that brings back what was lost, favor that returns multiplied what was taken, favor that mends what was broken, favor that lifts what was buried, favor that heals what was wounded, favor that revives what was dead. God is saying, I am restoring the years. I am restoring the strength. I am restoring the hope. I am restoring the opportunities. You thought your best days were behind you, but God is saying your best is not behind you. Your best is about to break into your present. You thought you missed your chance, but God is saying nothing that belongs to your destiny can be missed. It can only be delayed until the right moment. You thought you were forgotten, but God is saying, I never stopped watching you. I never stopped preparing you. I never stopped guiding you. God is sending favor to locate you, not because you are perfect, not because you earned it, not because you have never fallen, but because God is faithful. God knows your heart, your effort, your sincerity. God knows how many times you prayed when you had no strength left. God knows how many times you tried again, even when you wanted to quit. God knows the purity of your intentions, the honesty of your struggle, the depth of your devotion. Favor is coming because God saw what others ignored. And hear this truth deeply. Once favor locates you, nothing can unlocate it. No person can block it. No circumstance can delay it. No enemy can intercept it. No mistake can cancel it. Once God releases favor, it becomes a shield, a covering, a current that carries you into realms you never thought you could reach. You are stepping into a season where God will make you wonder, how did this happen so fast? People will ask you, how did you get this opportunity? And you will simply say, God. Not by connections, not by effort, not by strategy, but by God. Right now, heaven is aligning things in your favor. God is orchestrating divine timing. God is preparing divine encounters. God is releasing divine instructions. God is opening divine pathways. God is accelerating divine timing. And soon, the favor that has been circling your name will collide with your life in a way that leaves no room for doubt. This was God and God alone. And now, as you stand in this moment, this sacred intersection between what was and what will be, you must understand something profoundly important. Favor is not simply coming to brighten your situation. Favor is coming to redefine your entire identity in the eyes of the world. When God sends favor, He does not just change your circumstances. He changes the way people perceive you, the way you perceive yourself, and the way your destiny unfolds. Favor elevates you into a dimension where your presence carries weight, your voice carries authority, and your life carries impact beyond anything that seemed possible before. This is why God waited for the right moment, because what He is sending is not ordinary, and you are not entering an ordinary season. When God speaks the word favor, He is declaring a heavenly verdict over your earthly reality. He is commanding what resisted you to release you, what ignored you to acknowledge you, what underestimated you to honor you. God is shifting the balance of power. The very places where you experience the resistance will soon become the places where you experience recognition. You are going to walk into environments where the atmosphere itself will respond to the divine imprint God has placed upon your spirit. People will sense a grace, a depth, a weight upon you that cannot be explained by human effort. That is what it means when God says, favor will locate you. You must also understand that favor does not always announce itself with loud miracles. It sometimes enters subtly, quietly, like the rising of dawn after a long night. Some of you will begin to notice a divine ease in areas where you once struggled. Conversations that once felt complicated will become effortless. Doors that once required knocking will now open before you arrive. Opportunities that once passed by will suddenly pause and wait for your presence. That is favor in motion. God is aligning the path before your feet, softening hearts, shifting atmospheres, and preparing environments so that when you step forward, everything responds to the divine timing God has ordained. There are blessings God is preparing for you that require your maturity, not just your desire. This is why God allowed certain delays not to deprive you, but to deepen you. Your character had to be strengthened. Your patience had to grow. Your discernment had to sharpen. Because favor is not just a gift, it is a responsibility. Favor magnifies whatever is inside you. If pride is there, favor exposes it. If discipline is there, favor multiplies it. If integrity is there, favor elevates it. And now, God is saying that your heart has been refined enough to carry the weight of what He is releasing. Favor is not attracted to fear, it is attracted to faith. And though you had moments of doubt, though you questioned your worth, though you wondered if you truly had what it takes, the truth is this: your faith never died. It flickered, yes. It weakened, yes. But it never died. And God honors what survived. God honors the faith that stands through storms. God honors the heart that still prays even when tired. God honors the spirit that still seeks Him even through confusion. And because you remained connected to God, even in the silent seasons, His favor is now being drawn to you with unstoppable certainty. Understand this deeply. Favor is a divine signal sent into the spiritual realm. It announces to every force that once opposed you that their assignment is canceled. It announces to every delay that its authority has expired. It announces to every closed door that it must open. When God releases favor, the entire spiritual realm adjusts to accommodate His decree. Even the things that once terrified you will now cooperate with your purpose. Mountains become pathways. Obstacles become stepping stones. What once intimidated you will now elevate you. There is a reason you felt unseen for so long. God was not hiding you from blessing. God was hiding you from premature exposure. Exposure without preparation leads to collapse. But now, because God has completed the work within you, He's ready to unveil you. And when God unveils you, no one can overshadow you. When God lifts you, no one can lower you. When God highlights you, no one can dim you. This unveiling is not about applause. It is about assignment. God is positioning you where your voice will matter, where your presence will carry impact, and where your purpose will be recognized. You will notice something powerful in this next season. People will begin to value what they once ignored in you. The same qualities that were underestimated before will become the very qualities people seek from you. Why? Because favor transforms you from someone they overlooked into someone they cannot afford to lose. It is not arrogance, it is alignment. When God elevates you, even those who resisted you before must acknowledge the divine hand upon your life. They may not understand it, but they will not be able to deny it. Favor also brings clarity. You are going to begin to see your life from a higher perspective. Things that once confused you will suddenly make sense. The people who walked away will no longer sting your heart. The opportunities that closed will no longer frustrate you. The seasons that broke you will no longer define you. Favor reveals purpose behind the pain, wisdom behind the waiting, and growth behind the grief. God is removing the haze that clouded your vision and giving you insight that surpasses your years. You will begin to understand why God allowed certain people to leave, why He protected you from certain paths, and why He blocked doors you begged Him to open. You are not stepping into random blessings, you are stepping into strategic blessings. Everything God is sending now is connected. Every opportunity will build upon the next. Every door will lead to another. Every breakthrough will position you for an even greater one. God is weaving a divine pattern through your life, stitching together every moment you thought was wasted and turning it into a tapestry of a purpose. When the favor begins to manifest, you will look back and realize nothing was random, everything was deliberate. Favor is also God's way of accelerating destiny. Some of you have been behind schedule according to human timelines, but God is about to redeem time. What you thought would take years will happen suddenly. What you thought required endless striving will unfold effortlessly. God is going to compress seasons, condense processes, and accelerate outcomes. You will achieve in 1 year what others take 10 years to accomplish, not because you are better, but because God is with you. And when God accelerates, no force can slow you down. But hear this clearly. Favor comes with instruction. God will begin to speak to you with clarity nudges in your spirit, sudden ideas, unexpected inspiration. Pay attention. When God releases favor, He often gives divine directions that lead you to the opportunity He prepared. A simple act of obedience can unlock a divine avalanche. Do not ignore the subtle pulls. Do not dismiss the quiet impressions. Do not overlook the gentle whispers of guidance. Favor is not captured by chance, it is activated by obedience. Some of you will feel a stirring to move differently, think differently, speak differently, or even detach from certain environments. That is God guiding you. You are being repositioned for a blessing that cannot manifest where you used to stand. The conversations you participate in, the people you surround yourself with, the thoughts you entertain, everything must align with a new level God is calling you into. Favor does not thrive in the atmosphere of your past, it thrives in the environment of your future. You will also notice that God will begin sending people into your life, people who carry keys to your next season, people who see your value without explanation, people who support you without hesitation. God is removing those who drain and sending those who build, removing those who diminish and sending those who elevate, removing those who confuse and sending those who clarify. Relationships orchestrated by God are extensions of favor. Pay attention to who enters your life in this next season. They are not accidents, they are divine connections. As this favor locates you, your inner world will shift first before your outer world catches up. You will feel an unusual peace, a peace that does not match your circumstances. You will feel a renewed confidence, a confidence that does not come from your abilities but from God's presence. You will feel courage rising, a courage that pushes you to step into opportunities you once rejected out of fear. That is the internal evidence that favor is near. God changes your spirit before He changes your surroundings. You are entering a season where your prayers will start manifesting rapidly. Things you once repeated to God for years will begin unfolding without resistance. This is not because you prayed harder, it is because the time has arrived. When the appointed time comes, things manifest not by effort but by divine decree. What once required tears will now require only faith. What once felt distant will now feel inevitable. God is saying, what I promised to you is now reaching fulfillment. You must prepare to carry a new level of responsibility, influence, and impact. Favor is not for comfort, it is for assignment. God blesses you so you can build. God elevates you so you can influence. God favors you so you can fulfill the purpose embedded in your existence. You are not being lifted for personal gain, you are being lifted for divine purpose. And because your heart has proven faithful in the shadows, God can now trust you with the spotlight. And as this divine favor continues to unfold, you must protect it. Not everyone deserves access to your next level. Not everyone can walk with you into your purpose. Some people respected you only when you struggled. They will resent you when you rise. Some people comforted you only when you were low. They will compete with you when you elevate. God will reveal who should remain and who should be released. Trust His leading. Do not cling to what God is removing. You will not need to fight for recognition. You will not need to beg for opportunities. You will not need to prove yourself. Favor speaks louder than any explanation. Favor validates you. Favor announces you. Favor endorses you. And when God sends favor to locate you, even the people who doubted you will witness the unfolding of His promise. You are stepping into a future authored by God, strengthened by struggle, refined by waiting, and crowned by favor. This is your moment, your season, your divine turning point. God is saying, stand firm, lift your head, strengthen your spirit. Favor is on the way and it will not pass you by. And now, as you stand at the threshold of this divine turning point, let your heart rise with the quiet confidence of someone who knows that God has already gone ahead of you. This is not a season where you hope for change. This is a season where you expect it. Expect doors to respond differently. Expect opportunities to move toward you instead of away from you. Expect the people to treat you with an honor they once withheld. Expect clarity to replace confusion, strength to replace weariness, and divine alignment to replace endless striving. Expect the atmosphere around your life to shift, because when God releases favor, the natural world obeys the command of the spiritual realm. This is your awakening into a higher dimension of God's guidance, a deeper awareness of His nearness, and a more powerful expression of His will unfolding through your life. You are not leaving this moment as the same person who entered it. Something has awakened in your spirit. Something has strengthened in your soul. Something has shifted within you that cannot be reversed. God has spoken a word over your life, and nothing on earth has the authority to silence it. You are stepping into a future that has already been prepared, protected, and preserved by God's hands. And as you move forward, do not carry the mentality of your past seasons. Release the fear that kept you small. Release the doubt that made you hesitate. Release the guilt that weighed on your shoulders. Release the voices that once told you that you were not enough. God is not preparing you for a repeat of what you endured. God is preparing you for a manifestation of what He promised. You are not walking into a familiar cycle. You are stepping into a divinely orchestrated elevation. Every step you take from this point forward carries the imprint of favor. There will be moments where you feel the shift so strongly that it disrupts your routine. You will sense God drawing you into decisions that require courage you didn't know you had. You will feel inspired to move, to speak, to act in ways that align with the higher version of yourself that God is calling forth. Follow that leading, trust that pull, obey that nudge. Favor flows where obedience stands. And as you walk in this obedience, you will witness God opening paths you couldn't see before. Your faith will no longer come from desperation, it will come from revelation. You will not pray from fear, you will pray from authority. You will not seek God wondering if He hears you, you will seek Him with the knowing that He has already answered. This is the maturity that favor activates. It lifts you out of survival mode and positions you in destiny mode. You begin to walk differently, think differently, speak differently, because you know you are being carried by a power far greater than anything around you. You will begin to notice that the things that once affected you deeply will no longer have the power to disturb your peace. The battles that once drained you will lose their grip. The voices that once discouraged you will fade into irrelevance. Why? Because once favor rests upon you, your spirit rises above the noise of the world. You are no longer shaped by what happens around you. You are shaped by what God is releasing within you. Your strength will not come from your circumstances. It will flow from your connection with God. And as this favor continues to unfold, your life will start to reflect what your spirit has felt for so long, a divine calling, a sacred assignment, a purpose woven by God into the fabric of your existence. You are not merely surviving the journey, you are stepping into the purpose for which you were created. There is a power rising within you, a clarity sharpening your vision, a courage is strengthening your steps, because God is preparing you to walk into spaces where your presence will shift atmospheres, influence lives, and manifest blessings. This favor that is locating you is not arriving as a small spark. It is arriving as a divine flood. A flood that washes away all the limitations, a flood that breaks down walls, a flood that drenches every area of your life with a supernatural alignment. And once this flood of favor arrives, things that took years to grow will bloom suddenly. Connections that seemed impossible will form effortlessly. Success that once felt unreachable will become your new normal. God is rewriting the pace of your life. You will accomplish more in this next season than you have in all the years behind you, not because of your strength, but because God's favor is carrying you. And in this sacred movement, do not forget that favor is not simply a blessing. It is a responsibility. God is positioning you to influence lives, to spread light, to reflect His presence, and to uplift those who cross your path. The favor you are receiving is not meant to end with you. It is meant to overflow from you. As God elevates you, He will also use you as a vessel of hope, wisdom, clarity, and strength for others. You become a living testimony of what happens when a soul stays anchored in faith during seasons of uncertainty. So walk forward with boldness. Walk forward with assurance. Walk forward with the quiet, unshakable confidence of someone chosen, strengthened, and lifted by God. Do not question whether you are ready. You are ready because God has declared you ready. Do not question whether you are worthy. You are worthy because God has prepared you. Do not question whether the blessing will last. It will last because God Himself is the one sending it. Everything in your life up to this point has been preparation for what is about to unfold. Every hardship, every disappointment, every silent prayer, every lonely night, every moment of endurance was shaping you into the person who could carry this level of favor. Nothing was wasted. Nothing was random. Nothing was meaningless. God has been writing your story with precision, and this next chapter is coming with glory. Step into this season with your heart lifted, your mind focused, and your spirit open. Let God's presence guide you. Let God's wisdom shape you. Let God's favor surround you. Because what is coming is greater, stronger, richer, deeper, and more transformative than anything you have imagined. God is not just sending favor. God is positioning you to live in it, walk in it, breathe in it, and overflow with it in every direction. This is the moment where everything shifts. This is the moment where the past loses its authority. This is the moment where the future begins to call your name. God is sending favor to locate you, to lift you, to strengthen you, and to bring you into the fullness of what He has ordained. And as you move forward, nothing, absolutely nothing, will be able to stop what God has set in motion. Do this, and toxic people will never bother you again. Listen closely, because what I am about to tell you is not ordinary advice, not common guidance, not something you hear from the world filled with the noise and confusion. This is a truth that ignites the spirit, stirs the inner life, and awakens a divine confidence within you. Toxic people are not drawn to your weakness. They are drawn to your unawareness of your strength. And today, God is going to shift something inside you so deeply that you will never walk in the same posture again. There is a power God placed inside you that once activated becomes a shield no negativity can penetrate, no manipulation can influence, and no toxic heart can poison. When you stand in this power, toxic people do not simply leave you rise beyond their reach. From the very beginning of your life, God placed inside you a sacred authority, a spiritual dignity that no human being is allowed to violate. But many do, because they sense you do not yet fully recognize the divine force that surrounds you. Toxic people survive by feeding on the spiritually unguarded. They approach the kind-hearted, the compassionate, the ones who try to bring peace even when they suffer. And they think your gentleness is weakness. They think your silence is a surrender. They think your patience is permission. But when God opens your eyes to the spiritual laws that govern your life, your entire atmosphere changes and every toxic presence feels it. You do not even have to confront them. Your inner elevation becomes a divine fire that they cannot stand. There is one thing, one inner shift that when you embrace it, toxic people will never bother you again. And that is this. You must anchor your worth so deeply in God that no human voice, no negative force, and no foolish heart can access the place where your identity is formed. When your worth is rooted in God, toxic people lose all their weapons. They cannot guilt you. They cannot shame you. They cannot manipulate your kindness. They cannot twist your emotions. Because your emotions no longer sit in their hands, they sit in the palm of God. Toxic people thrive in the hearts of those who feel they must earn approval. But when God becomes your source of strength, you stop seeking validation from anyone who was never assigned to understand you. You rise with a spiritual posture that says, my value does not come from you. My peace does not depend on you. My blessings do not flow through you. My identity was written by God before I ever met you. And nothing you do or say can rewrite it. When that fire's inside you, toxic people feel the shift. They become uncomfortable. Their access to your emotions is shut. Their hooks break. Their strategies collapse. When you stand in your God-given confidence, you stop explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You stop opening your heart to people who twist your vulnerability into entertainment. You stop giving chances to those who have no intention of changing. You stop shrinking yourself so others won't feel small. That is the moment right there that God elevates your spirit above the reach of toxicity. You must understand something deep. Toxic people do not leave because you confront them. They leave because you grow beyond the level at which they can function. Toxic hearts cannot breathe in the atmosphere of a God-filled soul. Your growth suffocates their control. Your peace disrupts their chaos. Your clarity exposes their manipulation. Your spiritual awareness invalidates their games. This is why some people suddenly disconnect when God lifts you. They do not understand what happened, but they feel it. They feel the spiritual boundary rise. They feel the atmosphere shift. They feel your spirit become too aligned, too grounded, too protected to be used anymore. And this is what God wants for you. God wants you to be unreachable to chaos. God wants you to be unshakable in the presence of negativity. God wants your peace to be so deeply rooted that no argument can steal it and no betrayal can break it. God wants you to be so spiritually aware that when toxic intentions approach, your discernment recognizes them instantly. You must rise into that spiritual maturity where you are no longer affected by people's moods, their judgments, their gossip, their shadows, or their emotional poison. You must rise into that sacred confidence where you say, I belong to God, and no toxic mind has the right to disturb my inner world. There is a truth you must embrace. You cannot control who is toxic, but you can absolutely control who gets access to you. And when God is the one guiding your atmosphere, your access points tighten. You stop entertaining conversations that drain your spirit. You stop participating in arguments that have no purpose. You stop responding to negativity disguised as concern. You stop allowing guilt to pull you back into connections God already set you free from. When you stop feeding toxic people your energy, they stop. When you stop giving them reactions, they lose their influence. When you stop giving them access, their control dissolves. God has given you a spiritual right, yes, a divine right to protect your peace. It is not selfishness. It is obedience to the sacred order God placed within creation. Peace is not something you defend with your fists. It is something you guard with your awareness. When you understand the sacredness of your inner world, you begin treating it like a holy ground. And when something is holy, not everything and not everyone is permitted to enter. If you want toxic people to never bother you again, you must change your spiritual posture. You must stop presenting yourself as someone who is desperate to please everyone. You must stop trying to be understood by people committed to misinterpreting you. You must stop pouring into relationships that drain your soul. You must stop explaining your worth to those who cannot recognize it. You must stop giving apologies to people who should be offering them. You must stop running after people who walk away as if the loss is yours. Because the moment you know who you are in God, the moment you know what God placed inside you, the moment you embrace the dignity of your own soul, everything changes. God did not create you to be a doormat for toxicity. God did not create you to shrink so others feel comfortable. God did not create you to be emotionally accessible to those who do not respect your heart. God did not place you on this earth to be abused, used, drained, or manipulated. God put you here with purpose, with value, with authority, with dignity, and with a spiritual assignment that requires your peace to remain intact. Toxic people sense when someone does not yet know their worth, and they take advantage of it. But when you anchor your life in God, when your identity becomes unshakable, when your spirit becomes rooted in divine truth, toxic people lose their pathway into your life. They cannot deceive you anymore. They cannot manipulate your guilt. They cannot twist your compassion. They cannot break your spirit. They cannot influence your self-image. Because when God defines you, no voice of negativity can redefine you. And you must realize the only reason toxic people ever bothered you is because you were still living as if your peace needed their permission. But your peace is between you and God. Your joy is between you and God. Your clarity is between you and God. Your elevation is between you and God. Once you embrace this, you stop tolerating the things that dishonor your soul. The first step toward a life free from toxic people is not blocking them, confronting them, or exposing them. It is recognizing that your spirit has outgrown their influence. You no longer resonate with their negativity. You no longer entertain their drama. You no longer feel responsible for their emotions. You no longer allow their opinions to shape your direction. When you detach emotionally, toxic people lose their power instantly. You will notice something profound. When you grow spiritually, some people become irritated not because you wrong them, but because your elevation reveals their unwillingness to grow. And toxic hearts cannot stand to see someone rise, because your rise exposes their stagnation. Your peace exposes their chaos. Your discipline exposes their excuses. Your alignment exposes their disorder. Your clarity exposes their confusion. They begin to distance themselves not because you push them away, but because they cannot survive in the atmosphere of peace God is establishing around you. You must reach the point where your spirit becomes so aligned with God that you no longer fear losing people. Because when God becomes your source, you realize anybody you lose was never your foundation. The moment you truly internalize this, toxic people lose every chain they once had on your emotions. And hear this clearly. God is not asking you to hate anyone. God is asking you to rise. Toxic people fall away naturally when you rise. You do not fight them. You outgrow them. You do not argue with them. You see through them. You do not fear them. You recognize their spiritual immaturity. And with compassion but without attachment, you let them go. This is the spiritual authority God wants you to walk in. The authority that says, I choose peace because God placed peace within me. I choose clarity because God guides my steps. I choose boundaries because God entrusted me with my own soul. I choose elevation because God called me higher. Do this, anchor your worth in God so deeply that no toxic person can reach it. And I promise you, your life will transform. Toxic people will not just stop bothering you. They will become irrelevant to your spirit. Their words will fall powerless. Their intentions will dissolve. Their presence will fade. You will walk with a light that frustrates every dark intention. You will move with a confidence that cancels every form of manipulation. You will rise with a dignity that forces every toxic presence to bow before the authority God placed in your spirit. And once you taste this level of peace, this sacred God-given peace, you will never allow anyone to disturb it again. When you begin to walk in this God-centered awareness, something extraordinary happens within you. Your soul becomes untouchable. You may still hear the voices of negativity, but they will no longer enter your spirit. You may still encounter unhealthy attitudes, but they will no longer influence your direction. You may still witness the behaviors of those who operate from insecurity, envy, and emotional corruption, but you will feel no pull, no reaction, no disturbance. Why? Because God has become your anchor, your stabilizer, your internal fortress. And when God fortifies the inside, nothing on the outside can shake you. So many people suffer from the weight of toxic individuals because their inner foundation is fragile. They rely on others to confirm their value, to affirm their decisions, to validate their emotions, to make them feel seen. But when God becomes your foundation, you no longer crave what people can never provide. You no longer chase after voices that echo emptiness. You no longer bend yourself to fit into expectations that were never meant for you. You rise, and you rise cleanly, free from the need to perform for acceptance, free from the fear of being judged, free from the anxiety of disappointing others. You rise into a spiritual identity rooted entirely in God's definition of you, and nothing is more liberating than that. Toxic people thrive where there is confusion. They take advantage of those who are unsure of themselves. They target those who doubt their place in the world. But once God sets your mind in order, once God sharpens your awareness, once God strengthens your discernment, toxic people have nowhere to plant their influence. The soil of your soul becomes too fertile for their poisonous seeds. Your mind becomes too clear for their manipulation to take root. Your heart becomes too guarded for their chaos to find refuge. God lifts you into a state of internal clarity so powerful that toxicity suffocates in your presence. You must understand something essential. Every time you try to fix a toxic person, you weaken yourself. But every time you strengthen your connection with God, you rise beyond the reach of toxic individuals. Your spiritual elevation is your greatest protection. You cannot drag anyone out of their darkness, but you can walk fully into your light. And when you do, the darkness cannot follow you. Toxic individuals do not let go because they want to. They let go because they cannot breathe in the atmosphere God places around you. There is another layer you must embrace. Toxic people are not just those who harm you with their action. Sometimes they are those who disturb you with their expectation. They demand your time but offer no value. They pull on your heart but give no respect. They appear supportive but carry hidden jealousy. They look at you with smiles but speak of you with bitterness. And if you are not spiritually alert, you will confuse their proximity with loyalty. But spiritual maturity teaches you that not everyone who stands near you stands with you. Not everyone who praises you honors you. Not everyone who advises you protects you. And not everyone who listens to you believes in you. When God sharpens your spiritual vision, you begin to see people not as they present themselves, but as they truly are. This God-given clarity gives you the courage to detach from those who drain your spirit. Detachment is not anger, it is wisdom. Detachment is not resentment, it is obedience to the inner call of God. Detachment is not coldness, it is protection of your peace. When you detach from what harms you, you make room for what heals you. When you release what dishonors you, you create space for what God wants to send you. When you walk away from the destructive, you walk toward the divine. And every step you take into God's alignment reduces the influence toxic people have over your mind and heart. You must learn that peace is not something you stumble into. It is something you cultivate. God gives you the seed of peace, but you are responsible for guarding the soil in which it grows. If you allow toxic voices to continue entering your life, they will uproot the seeds of peace before they ever mature. If you allow toxic energy to surround your daily environment, it will choke out the spiritual clarity God is trying to build within you. You must become intentional about protecting what God placed inside your spirit. Not everyone deserves access to your mind. Not everyone deserves access to your heart. Not everyone deserves access to your assignment. Guarding your peace is not just a suggestion, it is a spiritual duty. There is a moment, God wants to bring you into a moment where you recognize the sacredness of your inner world. A moment where you realize how powerful it is to be chosen, guided, and strengthened by God. A moment where you see that your spirit is not ordinary, your destiny is not random, and your journey is not accidental. When you see your life through the lens of God's intention rather than people's opinions, you stop letting toxic individuals define what you deserve. You stop allowing them to dictate your mood. You stop giving them the authority to influence your emotional weather. God becomes your source of identity, and you begin living from the inside out, not from the outside in. This is the shift that transforms everything. When you stop reacting, toxic people thrive when you react. They feed on your emotional responses. They grow stronger when you try to explain yourself, defend yourself, or justify your decisions. They weaponize your emotions against you. But when you stop reacting, when you remain silent, grounded, and unmoved, something breaks in the spiritual realm. Their hold over your emotions collapses. Their strategies fail. Their attempts to provoke you fall flat. They realize that the access they once had has been revoked, not with the anger, not with the confrontation, but with the peace. And this peace is not ordinary. It is peace that carries the weight of God's presence. It is peace that intimidates toxic intentions. It is peace that frustrates manipulation. It is peace that drives negativity away. Toxic people do not know what to do when they cannot control your mood. They lose power when they lose your reaction. And the moment you master the art of inner stillness, you become unreachable to anyone who thrives on chaos. Another powerful truth is this: God uses toxic people to reveal your spiritual maturity. They expose what is unsettled within you. They highlight the areas where you are still emotionally reactive. They bring forth the insecurities that must be healed. If someone's words still wound you deeply, God may be showing you an unhealed place. If someone's behavior still triggers fear or anger, God may be showing you a part of yourself that needs strengthening. Toxic individuals are not always obstacles. Sometimes they are mirrors. They show you the places God wants to fortify. And once God fortifies those places, no one can ever weaponize those wounds again. The more you grow, the less toxic people affect you. Their words begin to sound empty. Their presence feels distant. Their influence fades. Their power dissolves. What once shook you now feels insignificant. What once broke you now feels meaningless. What once angered you now feels irrelevant. Why? Because God has rebuilt you from the inside out. God has restructured your emotional foundation. God has matured your spirit beyond their reach. And this growth is permanent. When God elevates your spirit, there is no returning to the patterns that once enslaved you. You must also learn that distancing yourself from toxic people does not require their agreement. You do not need their approval to protect your peace. You do not need their understanding to honor your well-being. You do not need their permission to walk away. If God is leading you to detach, then detachment is obedience. If God is nudging your spirit to create distance, then distance is protection. You are not responsible for how others interpret your boundaries. You are responsible for honoring the divine wisdom God places in your heart. And when God teaches you to set boundaries, they are not walls of bitterness, they are gates of wisdom. Boundaries are not built to keep love out, they are built to keep poison away. Boundaries are not signs of weakness, they are signs of spiritual maturity. Boundaries are not selfish, they are sacred. Toxic people hate boundaries because boundaries expose their intentions. Boundaries remove the freedom they once had to violate your emotions. Boundaries reveal who they truly are. And when you stand firm in your boundaries, they either change their behavior or remove themselves from your life. Either outcome is a blessing. When God strengthens your spirit, you begin to understand that silence is a weapon. You don't have to argue, you don't have to prove, you don't have to fight, you don't have to explain. Silence speaks loudly, silence communicates maturity, silence expresses strength, silence cuts the roots of toxicity faster than confrontation ever could. Because silence shows that your spirit is no longer available to play games. At this stage of your spiritual growth, you begin attracting a new atmosphere. Toxic people drift away because your energy no longer matches theirs. Your vibration becomes too elevated for their negativity. Your spirit becomes too stable for their chaos. Your mind becomes too disciplined for their distractions. And while you may not understand why certain people suddenly distance themselves, you must realize that God is cleansing your environment. God is removing what cannot follow you into your next level. God is protecting your destiny. This is the final truth every soul must embrace. When God becomes your refuge, no toxic person can invade your inner world. When God becomes your compass, no manipulator can mislead your steps. When God becomes your foundation, no betrayer can shake your identity. When God becomes your source of worth, no critic can diminish your confidence. When God becomes your guide, no deceiver can cloud your judgment. When God becomes your healer, no wound can limit your future. When God becomes your protector, no toxic presence can enter the sacred space of your peace. You are not created to live in the shadows of toxic people. You are not created to walk in emotional bondage. You are not created to be diminished by the insecurity of others. You were created by God with a purpose, with a vision, with a dignity, and with a spiritual authority. And once you awaken to this truth, toxic people lose their power forever. When God begins elevating your spirit, something profound awakens within you. You start valuing your inner world more than the outer noise. You realize that your peace is not just a feeling, it is a gift from God that must be protected with the same seriousness you would protect your physical life. You begin to understand that every distraction is a spiritual threat, every toxic voice is a spiritual intrusion, and every manipulative relationship is a spiritual hindrance. Your sensitivity sharpens, your awareness deepens, and you start discerning not only what people say, but what their presence does to your spirit. You begin to measure every relationship not by how it looks on the outside, but by how it affects you on the inside. And the moment you make that shift, toxic people lose their room in your life. God wants you to understand that the greatest battles you face are not external. They happen inside you, in your mind and in your emotions. Toxic people are only effective when they find an open door in your inner world. They enter through insecurity, through fear, through loneliness, through emotional hunger. But when God fills those empty places with the spiritual strength, those doors close forever. You become spiritually sealed. Your heart becomes guarded by divine protection. Your mind becomes fortified by divine truth. Toxic influences approach, but they find nothing to hook onto. They come with their old strategies, but they fall flat. They attempt to trigger your old wounds, but the wounds are healed. They try to reopen the past, but the past no longer has power. You become unshakable, not because of force, but because of inner transformation. One of the most liberating realizations comes when you understand that toxic people do not destroy you, they reveal you. They reveal the parts of yourself that need strengthening. They expose the areas where you have not fully surrendered to God's guidance. They show you where your boundaries were too loose, where your emotions were too unguarded, where your trust was given too quickly. And once God reveals these things, you are no longer the same. You evolve. You grow. You mature. You rise with a new level of spiritual intelligence that no toxic person can exploit again. This is why God allows some people to enter your life, not to break you, but to teach you. They teach you the weight of discernment. They teach you the necessity of boundaries. They teach you the importance of emotional stewardship. They teach you that compassion must be balanced with wisdom. They teach you that loyalty must be reserved for those whose hearts are aligned with righteousness. And when the lesson is complete, God removes their influence because their purpose has been fulfilled. You are no longer vulnerable in the same way. You no longer respond the way you once did. You no longer feel drawn to the chaos you once tolerated. You no longer feel obligated to fix what you did not break. There is a sacred strength that comes when you stop looking at people through the lens of fear and start seeing them through the lens of a divine perspective. You begin to identify energies before they become problems. You sense intentions before they are spoken. You feel the disturbance in your spirit before the danger becomes visible. This is the guidance of God. It is a spiritual sensitivity, a protective inner signal that alerts you when someone is not aligned with your destiny. When God sharpens this awareness, you no longer need evidence to step away. Your spirit becomes the evidence. And when your spirit speaks, you must listen. Do this, and toxic people will never bother you again. Learn to withdraw from anyone who pulls you away from the voice of God within you. You must reach the point where your loyalty to your peace outweighs your loyalty to any connection. When the presence of someone brings confusion, God is telling you something. When the presence of someone brings heaviness, your spirit is giving a warning. When the presence of someone drains your energy, God is showing you that your destiny is too important to be entangled with people who cost you your clarity. And when God reveals these things, it is not cruelty, it is protection. You must learn the art of a silent distance. Not every relationship needs closure. Not every situation needs an explanation. Not every betrayal needs confrontation. There are moments when God says, walk away quietly. Because sometimes responding gives toxic people more access. Sometimes explaining gives them more information to use against you. Sometimes defending yourself gives them more opportunities to manipulate your emotions. Silence is not weakness. Silence is strategy. Silence makes the toxic heart uncomfortable because they thrive on reaction. When you take the reaction away, you take their power away. But you will only be able to maintain this silence when you trust God more than you trust your emotions. Your emotions want immediate relief. Your spirit wants long-term peace. Toxic people often produce short-lived emotional storms that make you feel the need to respond. But when God becomes your emotional anchor, you no longer trust the urgency of the moment. You trust the wisdom of your inner guidance. You trust the still, calming direction that God places in your heart. You trust that silence will accomplish what confrontation could never do. You trust that distance will reveal truth more powerfully than words ever could. Real spiritual power comes when you stop fighting toxic people and start outgrowing them. When you elevate your mindset, their insults lose meaning. When you elevate your spirit, their anger loses impact. When you elevate your purpose, their presence loses relevance. And elevation does not require effort, it requires alignment. When you align with God, you rise effortlessly. You rise above arguments. You rise above jealousy. You rise above manipulation. You rise above drama. You rise above their attempts to pull you into emotional chaos. And when you rise, toxic people are left behind. God wants to raise you to a spiritual level where you no longer absorb the energy of the people around you. Instead, your energy influences the environment. Your peace becomes stronger than their chaos. Your clarity becomes louder than their confusion. Your self-control becomes more powerful than their dysfunction. Toxic people then begin to avoid you, not because they do not want access, but because your spiritual presence exposes their internal disorder. They cannot hide behind their masks around someone who walks in divine awareness. They cannot pretend around someone who sees with spiritual eyes. They cannot manipulate someone who listens to God before listening to people. The more you grow, the more you will understand that distance is a blessing. God does not separate you from people to punish you. God separates you to protect you. When someone begins to disrupt the peace God placed within you, God creates circumstances that naturally distance you. This is divine intervention, not rejection. This is divine redirection, not isolation. And when you embrace this separation, you begin to flourish. Your mind clears. Your heart strengthens. Your spirit expands. Your purpose sharpens. You discover that peace is not the absence of people, it is the presence of God. You were never meant to carry toxic people into your destiny. Your hands must be free to receive what God has prepared for you. Your heart must be whole to love in a healthy way. Your mind must be clear to hear divine instruction. Your spirit must be strong to handle the weight of your calling. And toxic people disrupt all of this. They drain your energy, confuse your purpose, cloud your judgment, and delay your growth. But the moment you choose God over their presence, the moment you choose clarity over chaos, the moment you choose peace over approval, toxic people begin to fall away like a dust shaken off your feet. There is a moment God is leading you toward, a moment when you no longer fear the loss of people because you understand that what God removes is always inferior to what God brings. A moment where you no longer need the applause of those who do not value your spirit. A moment where you no longer internalize the words of those who do not speak from truth. A moment where you recognize that your destiny is too precious to waste on those who do not honor your heart. When you reach that moment, toxic people become powerless, irrelevant, and distant. And there is one more truth you must allow to penetrate deep within you. You cannot stop toxic people from being who they are, but you can stop giving them access to who you are becoming. You cannot control their behavior, but you can control your boundaries. You cannot change their intentions, but you can refine your discernment. You cannot purify their hearts, but you can protect your own. This is the wisdom God wants to place within you. Wisdom that frees you from unnecessary battles. Wisdom that protects your destiny. Wisdom that elevates your spiritual sensitivity.